What's up, party people? It's KeysDAN with RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com, coming to you live and in living color from the Radio What studios. And this is my podcast, What Makes You Famous? It's an extension of the RadioWhat.com internet radio station that I've been running for quite some time. And if you need DJ services, where do I always send you? DJLittleRock.com. One more time. DJLittleRock.com. Check availability and get a free price quote, and maybe you can have me at your next event. You know I like to party with the people. The people need to be entertained. Are you not entertained? Let me entertain you. Make your next thing a big one. Speaking of entertainment, today on the program, the man who's helping the other entertainers entertain and be found, Mark Rosner of Big Records. Oh, you know, I've been talking to some people from Big Records out there in Vancouver, Canada, and the world. Big Records, Mark Rosner. Stick around. You're going to get to hear a little bit more about him and his story in the next few minutes. This week's shows, let's see, Friday night. Oh, my usual Friday night gig. I'll be at the Rab in Conway, Arkansas, the Video Dance Party Karaoke Jam. Yes, I said karaoke. You're the stars of the show. We got a little concert starring each and every one of you. If you sing in the shower, if you sing in the car, you could sing on stage right next to yours truly at the Rab in Conway, Arkansas. Friday night. They got a full bar, kitchens open, pool tables, pool tournament on Friday nights. So if you want to try your hand at playing pool and possibly make some money while you're doing it, I encourage you to check out the Rab. It's a good time dancing and having some food and doing some drinking and talking with your friends and playing pool. It's really fun. It really is. 8 p.m. until 12:30 in the AM. Video Dance Party Karaoke Jam at the Rab in Conway, Arkansas. And then on Saturday, I'll be at the world famous Hot Springs, Arkansas for a wedding. Oh, yeah, a wedding. I'm so excited. I like going to Hot Springs. There's always some good venues there. But unless you're invited to the wedding, you cannot come. Why did I say it? Because I enjoy doing weddings. I'm so happy that I still get to do weddings after all these years. My goodness, I've been doing it a long time. And every time I think, am I too old for this? Should I retire? No way, no how. Keep doing it. I keep getting, and the thing about it, if you make $1 in this business, you put like 99 cents of it back into the business because you always want the best equipment, best microphones, best speakers, best lighting setup, 2 turntables and a microphone. Yes, the digital wheels of steel. You know, nowadays it's not even 2 turntables. It's I got the digital turntables, but then they control the computer that gives me access to every song in the whole wide world. So if you want to hear it, I'll play it for you. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. It used to be that all I would do was carry like a little box of records with me. And if it wasn't in that box of records, you weren't hearing it. Thankfully, my box of records was pretty good for the type of party that I was doing. So I was pretty good at picking out the right records for the right job. And now, I got every record ever made everywhere. With this thing called internet, I could buy a song just like that. No problem. You want to hear it? I'll play it for you. Speaking of hear it and play it for you, let's get out of this intro and get into the conversation with Mark Rosner of Big Records. I got him on Skype, so if you're listening to the audio version of this, I encourage you to check out the YouTube version of this, youtube.com/user/KeysDAN. Skyping Mike Rosner of Big Records now.
There we are.
Oh my goodness, what a pro. It's like you've done this before. Already in frame, ready to go. I like it, Mark Rosner.
Well, I like you too. You look better than me, but I can work on it.
I appreciate the compliment. I appreciate it so much. But my goodness, you're there, man. You're promoting yourself this time. This is the time for Mark Rosner. All right, I don't know a lot about you, but I know a lot of your friends. I know a lot of your acquaintances. I know a lot of your business associates. I've been talking to a few of them, and they've been telling me good things about you and the Big Records family. I'm kind of excited to know the heart of it, the start, the seed of Big Records, Mr. Mark Rosner. What's up?
Wow. Well, it's a pleasure. Thank you so much. We appreciate everything you're doing for everybody. You are making a difference, my man.
I appreciate that. We're supposed to be helping each other out in this crazy world of ours. You know, once you take care of yourself, you should be taking care of the people around you, and then making concentric circles outward as far as you can go, as far as your means allows you to be. And you've taken it upon yourself. I mean, back in 1986, I said, what do I want to be when I grow up? And I saw this radio thing, and I knew radio. Yeah, you could make a couple dollars, not a lot. You're not going to get rich on the radio. There's a handful of people on the radio that make millions. I certainly never made millions working on the radio, but in 1986, I said, you know, I could be a part of the community. I can help people out in that respect. Yeah. And that's what you've also done, where you take the desire, you know, maybe you make a couple bucks here and there, but the desire to help other people get on their way, achieve their goals, achieve their dreams. Well, tell me about your dreams, Mark Rosner. Who is Mark Rosner?
First of all, you're amazing. You got so much personality. And, man, you're old. 1986?
Class of 86 rules, baby. No, I graduated high school. I was the high school DJ. I did a lot of parties, in high school. And I said, let me start getting paid for this. So
sure.
But
I enjoyed graduating so much that I did it 3 times. I should say I tried to do it 3 times, but that's good news for everybody. Is that I'm a big football fan. There you go. That's one thing. Okay, and Pete Carroll from the Seahawks. He says you can't win a game in the first quarter, you can't win a game in the second quarter, you can't win a game in the third quarter, but you sure can win in the fourth quarter. So no matter how old you are, no matter what you've been through, you can win at whatever you want to do. You're never too old. So that's my philosophy.
Well, that makes sense that you like the Seahawks. You're out there on the West Coast. I'm an East Coast guy. I'm Miami. And how are my Dolphins doing? I have no idea. I really haven't kept up with them since 1972 when they had their perfect season with Bob Greasy and what is it? Oh my goodness, Don Shula was the coach. Bob Greasy was the quarterback, and then everything else was a blur. I was 4 years old, but they had a perfect season.
Once you've done something that well, it's like, well, we're done. Who needs to do anything? And so I'm actually my number one team. This is going to turn half your audience is going to turn off right here, but I'm going to tell you, I'm a Cowboys fan from the start. And then because I live out here, I became a Seahawks fan, and they're number 2. But I'm also a fantasy football team owner, and I happened to draft some unknown guy named Patrick Mahomes a few years ago, and this has been a wonderful experience. No matter how bad the rest of my team is, Mahomes always kills everybody. So that's a little football talk. But I never wanted to get to the top of Everest and look around and be alone. I'm a team player. I wanted to have a team and enjoy life as a group, and that's why it's grown all over the world. Is we're a team helping each other. Bottom line.
Well, Mark Rosner, I'm glad we veered off the sports talk. Because I as much as of a man that I think I am, the sports ball, I like to play sports, but I really don't like watching it. And the fantasy football, although when I moved to Arkansas back in 2009, I did get a job on a sports station, 96.5, The Source. It's now defunct. When I left about a month later, they went defunct. So it might have had something to do with me. I was holding it together. But
maybe no. It's all about you.
But I was working the board for a few sports athletes from here in the Arkansas area and sportscasters. Yeah. So I was learning a little bit about sports, learning a little bit about football. Now, funny enough, you say the Cowboys, I did get to talk to their sports director, their media director from time to time was on the show. That's America's team. I mean, I remember Troy Aikman, and that was the guy growing up. He, it was always the Cowboys was America's team. Plus, hey, the cheerleaders, they were nice to look at too. Okay.
Well, I go back further than that. And when I was 5 years old, my brother, who was 6 years older than me, so he, I'm not good at math, but I think that's 11. He was a Steelers fan. So what would knowing that, what would a little brother do? He would immediately become a Cowboys fan because his brother was a Steelers fan. So that's when I started, way back then, 5 years old. And then I fell in love with Farrah Fawcett. I had the poster on there, and she looked like a Texas girl, and the cheerleaders and all of that. So anyways, we won't go too far down that rabbit hole, but that's the truth.
No, please do. Farrah Fawcett. I had that picture of her with the famous picture of her with the one piece on my T-shirt. I wore that T-shirt until it fell apart, and I kept making, Mom, wash it, please. It's got holes in it. It's got holes in it, Danny. No, wash it, please. Keep it. I want to keep that shirt. That's my favorite.
Well, isn't that a guy thing too, though? Like, we like to use if there's anything left in a pair of shorts or a T-shirt, we're okay. I mean, it's not done yet, right? Just keep washing it until there's nothing left except maybe a little line, and then you're like, well, I guess I'll get a new T-shirt. That's what you get. I won't get into that anyway. I was going to say something, but it goes too far into guy talk, as they say, locker room talk, and then we're in trouble because someone's going to, use it against us when we try to run for office down the road.
All right, my man from Vancouver. I guess, were you always from Vancouver, or was that you're born and raised, or were you?
Yeah, I'm from here. I have lived a little bit overseas in Cambodia, where I met my wife, and we lived over there a little bit. Now we're all back here, and we go back and forth. That's a little bit about me.
How did you end up in Cambodia, of all places?
Well, I got really drunk one night and fell on a boat and woke up the next. No, truthfully, it's a bizarre story, and I'll tell you, because you bring out the best in people, and you set us at ease. And so I was single, and I was approached by this person on Facebook, and I think everybody knows what it's like when you get that hi, and you're like, oh my God, who's this? And so I said hello, and it was this person, and I said, where are you from? She said, Cambodia. And I thought, well, this is a little sketchy. And so I said, oh, that's nice. But to be honest, it was kind of intriguing. Like, Cambodia is a very interesting, mysterious sort of place to us anyway, in the Western society. Right. So anyway, I didn't talk to her for another year. And then all of a sudden she shows up again and says hi. And I said hello. And she was single and I was single. And she actually, the funny story is she was told by somebody that there's this fella named Mark in the West, and he likes you and this and that. So she thought she was talking to someone else. and I didn't find out this till later. But anyways, we started talking, and a year after that, we were quite good friends. And I took a flight over there. I know it's a weird story, but you know what? I took a flight over there, and she introduced me to her family, and it was the most amazing experience ever to be thrust into this situation where you're in a whole new society and everything. Anyways, like 9 years later, here we are, we're married and all of that. And so it's a success story on the internet.
No, it's a love story, man, and it's your origin story. That's beautiful. That's something to tell the grandkids way down the line.
You can find love at, 48?
Wow.
There you go.
And I often tell kids in their 20s, wait till you're 30. Do everything you want in your 20s. Yeah. Figure things out, because by the time you're 30, your brain is possibly developed, and you probably figured out a little idea of what you want to do with the rest of your life. But you didn't figure it out till you were 45. Come on, man.
Yeah. 48. I went over there, 48. And they had this rule. They have this rule in Cambodia that you cannot, a Cambodian cannot marry a foreigner if they're over 50. So we had because you know what? They have all these guys coming in from other places and marrying up these young girls, and they're losing their population. Yeah. So I'm watching the clock. Okay, I'll be 50 in 48 hours. Oh boy. So we got married over there, and I wore the traditional garb and stuff. And it's very colorful weddings, and I had a sword. Wow. And so that was lots of fun, and we still go over there. I just got back from Cambodia recently. So as a matter of fact, and this is a good segue, we've got 2024 is going to be a really interesting year. We're bringing our television show over to Asia. And so we're going to be traveling through Cambodia, Papua New Guinea, India, all of those areas with our television show, Rise Up TV. And so we're meeting the right people over there right now, the government officials and the people that can move and shake and put on festivals and all those things. And then we're bringing some artists from over there over here to our events as well. So, yeah, that's a good segue, I think.
No, that is fantastic, man. Because, I think the one thing I heard about Cambodia growing up, and this is probably an 80s film as well, Predator. I remember Jesse the Body said, this place makes Cambodia look like Kansas. That was the first time I ever heard the word or the place Cambodia, and I had to figure out, where is Cambodia? It's in the Far East, and that's fantastic. The cultures that you learn about them from the people, but a lot of times it's the food, it's what they like to do. What is it that brought you two together? I mean, besides being two wonderful people that, you never know where you're going to find love. I mean, I found mine at a nightclub in Key Largo, of all places. She's dancing around on the dance floor, and I'm going, you know what? I'm going to marry that girl. And years later, I did. Wow. It was like love at first sight. Pow! It's lightning, and you never know where you're going to find love. And you found it in Cambodia.
But you weren't looking, were you? You weren't looking. It just sort of happened, right?
No, I wasn't looking. In fact, I almost kind of cavemaned her into my truck, and we were all, her friends and my friends were going to meet up at the ice cream shop. And we met up at the Baskin Robbins across the way. This segment sponsored by Baskin Robbins, if they're still even a thing. But we went and we had some ice cream, and I fell head over heels over her. But a lot of people are doing this online dating, and even before that, there was mail order brides. That was a thing. People would find love, and anybody outside the relationship could look at it and say, well, that's odd. Well, where else am I going to find her? At the church, at the grocery store, at the discotheque? I don't know. Where am I going to find people?
She's like, I don't know, 5'5", and I'm 6'5". I mean, we look like the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie Twins, and you'd say, well, how did this happen? And I think that's one of those unexplainable things in life, because I will tell you this. I've always been a risk taker. I've always been that, and deep down, that's why I never really worked at day jobs, to be honest. I got bored after the first day. They're like, well, you're really good at shipping, receiving. I'm like, yeah, but what are we going to do tomorrow?
Yeah.
I can't, I have to have, I love waking up every day and not knowing what the day is going to be. And I have, of course, meetings I set up. But in general, this is what I do: is I sit here and I talk to people. I meet wonderful people. I talk about things that interest me, and so I've always been a risk taker. And risk taking is such that you fail a lot, and then at some point you start to win a lot, because you get through all the shit that you have to go through, and then you just, there's a point where it all kicks in, all the experience kicks in, but you'll never get to that point unless you take risks.
Yeah, one of my favorite sayings was the turtle doesn't get anywhere unless he sticks his neck out, and fortune favors the bold. Oh my goodness, that is another one that I've always enjoyed and appreciated. And I was just talking to the wife. I have two brothers-in-laws that are dreamers, that are always trying new things, always trying to get the bigger, better deal. Entrepreneur, maybe. Let's try this for a while, see if it works. Stuff that maybe it'll stick for a while. Maybe they can make a living, pay their rent. But it's really not. Is it work to live or live to work? As long as you're finding enjoyment in everything that you do, and if you can make a buck or two at it, go ahead, do it. More power to you. But from birth to 48 years old, let's go with that. You graduated 3 times. what year did you graduate each
84.
time? 84.
84, 85.
Okay, so we're the same age. My goodness, you said 86, and I'm like, I'm not old. We're the same age. My goodness. But you graduated in 84, and then what happened? It didn't stick, so you had to regraduate in 85?
Yeah, came back, and then a couple times, and then I got discovered by a rock band. I was a bass player, and so all of a sudden, just out of high school, I was offered to do a big tour of England, and I'd never been out of North America, so I went on that tour, and I just loved it so much. I said, "This is the business I want to be in," and so from then on, just started playing in bands and learning the business. But I did not decide to be in the business side, like outside of playing. I didn't decide that until I was, I'm going to say about in my 40s, my early 40s. I got tired of, like I did things like most people will do to try to make ends meet. And I kind of got tired of paychecks always going, like you work a whole bunch of extra hours and then the taxes that come off of it, basically you're just going under all the time. And I thought, this is not working. And the whole system is upside down right now. It's like when you buy say you want to get your car fixed or something, and the tires are worth more than the car. Like it's, everything is out of whack. And I just felt that. I felt that this was a losing proposition. And I also thought, you have one life, you got to do what, every time I've tried to fit into something else, it didn't work because I lose interest fast, right? And so I felt that it was better to do something original. And so I think that what we're doing is extremely original in the music business. And but it's through a lot of pain, heartache, and meeting the right people along the way that are like, yeah, I agree with you. Let's come over here.
Well, Mark Rosner, man, you buried something, man. I want to go back to that band when you were a bassist. I admire a good bassist. I admire a bassist because that is part of the rhythm section. That's what gets the people on the dance floor. What kind of music? What kind of band? What was the name of this band? How long was that tour? Tell me about it.
No, it's interesting. And thanks for asking, because they didn't have the internet back then. That's when that was, right? No internet. It was all analog, everything. So I was I was brought up in the church. So I was in a gospel band, and it was called Titus. There's a book in the Bible called Titus. And that's what that was called. And I had super long hair. I was like half the weight I am now, and had a little earring here. Yeah, remember the band Striper? I mean, if you imagine Striper, they all look like bumblebees, right? So, anyways, I was into the black leather and everything, Christian rock and all that. But anyways, that was Titus, and then we were actually managed by Bob Brooks, who owned Little Mountain Sound here, and Little Mountain was huge at the time. Just people like Bon Jovi recording "Slippery When Wet" and Aerosmith coming in, and we were working with those people in that circle, and that was fascinating with Bob Brooks involved. And then I went on to start my own band called Envoy, and we did a lot of touring and this and that. But I got at some point, original music is always very tough, and I decided to start doing some covers like a lot of people do, and so we had our stint in there doing some covers, and I sort of felt at some point I'm okay with doing covers, but it's not really what I got into it to do. So I made a choice to move away from that, and floundered around a while till I was about 40, and then I started to think, I think I'd like to, stay in the business and do business area. And at that time, it was still pre-internet. Like there was still hope, I suppose you could say, for these large labels and the way they do things. And they were always like in this situation where they're trying to get back to how do we get sales up and how do we do this and that. And I think what set me apart is I kind of decided that we weren't going back. It's never going to be pre-internet again. So what we have to do is look forward. And so that's, I think, what distinguished me in that time is giving the control to artists, non-exclusive contracts, services that they can use that they can't get themselves. Every artist needs to have control and power over their own career, but they also need entities that can open doors in different areas like big labels used to do. So that's the balance we have. We're very different than other labels. We charge for what we do, and we deliver. We deliver, and we don't own anything. If someone's paying you, then they own the masters. They own all the profits. They own everything, and we're just a way for them to get to what they want to do. If that makes sense.
It takes a certain kind of person, Mark Rosner, to see the future, to see what is happening over the horizon. Record companies long gone are the days where an artist is going to get discovered, singing around a garbage can on the corner of 25th and Main Street. Long gone are those days. The artists themselves have to get themselves up, get out on this social media, put themselves out on the YouTube, a la Justin Bieber and Nicki Minaj and all these people that get discovered on the YouTube. They got to give them a little bit before they can before a record company will even talk to them. Nowadays a record company won't talk to you unless you have 10,000 Instagram followers or 20,000 Twitter followers or however many TikTok followers. How many views have you got? Before they even touch an artist.
And the thing is what happened and what worked yesterday or last year is not going to work again.
Nope.
So you have to be quick on your feet, always looking where are things going, where can we, and I think same reason I liked original music rather than cover music is that original music is fascinating. It's hard, but it's going to take you where you want to go. The easy solution to me was always covers, because you can get quick money, but you can't go where you need to go long term with that. Yeah. And people like I've got friends and stuff in tribute bands, and that's perfect. You make good money. You go, that's great. But if you're trying to be in the original market, you gotta. I love everything that's original, so that's what I always try to shoot for. Go where my father told me. Go where others are not.
No, you're giving people gems. You can make money as a party band on the weekends, playing covers, or you can gamble on yourself if you have the creative juice, if you have the muse that's on your side, if you have the ability to take an idea out of your head, put it to paper, put it to song, that you can create magic. There's nothing less than magic of an original song, something that comes from your mind. Is this something that power that you have? Is this one of the skills that you have, Mark Rosner, that you can write original music?
When I was younger, I enjoyed, I sort of treated the bass the same way, to be honest, looking back. I don't play a lot of music anymore, but when I was playing the bass, I was always looking for the next thing. Now, this is going back a while. I loved people like Mark King and Stu Ham, people that would do the overhand tapping and this and that. I was sort of in that area, and I would do bass solos in large venues that were original and different and this and that. And at the time, and at some point, everything sort of gets overtaken, like the guitar solo. Like who's doing it better than Van Halen, Hendrix, these types of people? It's all been done in that sense. So the guitar playing lead sort of took a back seat for a while. Things are cyclical, but I always looked into what's coming next. I want to be original with everything I do, except the way I dress. Everybody's always like, "Oh my goodness, you're in that again." I like shorts and a t-shirt.
Well, speaking of dress, if for anybody that's listening to the audio version of this, I want you to check out the video version, because I knew I was going to be talking to the boss from Big Records, so I wore my tuxedo t-shirt.
That's unreal. I got to get one of those.
I got this at a thrift shop years ago. And speaking of years ago, talking about the bass, okay, Tobacco Road is a little club that used to be in Coconut Grove, somewhere, out just outside of Miami, in Florida. There was a place called Tobacco Road. And I remember one night I just kind of walked in there. I'd never been to that club, and I think I was by myself, and they had an open mic night. And the most fascinating thing, and this is going back more than 20 years, and I still remember it. It was a Mexican fellow on the bass, and then a lighter fellow on the on a 5-gallon drum, and they were keeping my attention for 45 minutes. The kid was drumming on the 5-gallon drum, and the bass player boom ba beam ba 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 beam ba ba ba, just bass solo for 45 minutes kept my attention, and I was going, oh my goodness, that's all you need for the rhythm. That's all you need to keep your toes a tapping. Yes, the singer.
There's some master.
Yeah, the singer is going to tell the story. The lead guitar is going to help tell that story. But without that rhythm section, you are nowhere, man.
Well, and for a second, I thought you were going to. I don't know the exact location or time, but I think right about that time, one of the people that used to blow people away with his bass is Jaco Pastorius. And Jaco was on another planet. Anybody who's never seen him, just Google, just YouTube. That guy was insane on the bass. And I thought you were going to tell the story of, I went into the club. Because one night he was a little drunk and he went into this club. And he wanted to get up on stage to show everybody and have some fun. But because he was drunk and nobody knew who it was, the bouncers grabbed him, threw him out, and killed him. Amazing story, but no kidding. I don't mean to bring the show to a slow stop, but but this guy, talk about amazing. If you I thought that's the story you were going to say. I went to this club and saw this bass player. He was amazing, because a lot of what Jaco did can never be duplicated. He was just so far beyond everybody. But and that's what I like, is I like taking things to a little bit. And what's interesting in music, and if you look, we just lost somebody recently from Fleetwood Mac, and her voice to me was amazing, but not it's original. And this is the cool thing about original music, is you don't have to be the fastest. You don't have to be the most amazing this or that. If you have something that's yours, that's what you need. Just the way that you are. You can just be whoever you are. And so that's. And I've known writers who are formula writers for BMG and this and that, and they have to write a certain amount of songs a certain way and stuff like that, and that's okay for them, but I'm not like that. I really wanted to live life on my terms, and so I want to do what I want to do it original, and I think that's where we have the biggest upside if we're just ourselves.
Well, I mean, you mentioned Fleetwood Mac, one of the most wonderful bands ever, had a perfect album. Rumors was one of the most perfect albums ever made. Funny, I'm listening to Thriller yesterday, some of the tracks off of that, another perfect album. But you're talking about the late great Christine McVie that we lost back in November of last year. My goodness, that was a voice. That was a team, and you get to represent artists that can be as big as them. I mean, can there ever be another Fleetwood Mac?
Well, look at Lindsey Buckingham, the way he plays the guitar. Oh. Look at Mark Knopfler, the tone he gets. Look at Eddie Van Halen, the tone he gets, right? And it's in the fingers, and it's in just not. You have to. I heard it once. You have to learn the rules before you can break them.
It's unmistakable.
And so learn the rules, but then
wait, we cut out for a second. You got to learn the rules, but then what?
You learn the rules, and then you can break them.
Absolutely. You mentioned quite a few artists that have signatures on their guitar playing, on their instrument playing. These are people, their licks. Even if somebody's trying to do a cover of that lick, trying to copy Eddie Van Halen's lick from from Bad, even, or covering Mark Knopfler from the Sultans of Swing, or something, or you've picked out these people that have signatures. Carlos Santana playing the PRS. Oh my gosh!
Exactly.
Is it the type of guitar that becomes a marriage? It becomes an extension of themselves.
You do. You become one with your instrument when you're at that level, and there's all these arguments about who's the best and this and that. Jeff Beck, people get ready. Go back and watch that, listen to it, and you'll just be absorbed by what he did. And and so this is the interesting thing about what music is that there's all kinds of arguments about who's the best or this, that. But the most beautiful thing about music is that it hits your heart. Some of it hits your heart. Hey, I remember where I was when that happened or this happened, and there's so much. I'm a bit of a melancholy person. I like to, when I was a kid, when I was like 13, when it was dark and gloomy at 7 o'clock and raining hard, I'd get on my bicycle and I'd go ride around in circles because I like the feeling of some sadness or some something about the sound of the rain and all of that, right? And so music is one of those things in life that touches the soul, and it can stay with you forever.
Well, it's the feel of the rain and the vibrations that you're getting from the rain, and just the elemental a bit of it. It's just being one with the earth, and music is an extension of that. Music's been around before language, before the written word. Music has been around. People were beating on rocks and sticks together and making music before they could talk. Thousands.
Well, it's so fun. And again, little stories and stuff. When I was, I must have been 11 or 12 years old. My friend Thomas Gillespie would come over, and we would take Lego, and we would make the band. So we'd have the drummer. G.I. Joe would be on drums, right? And then you'd have
11-inch G.I. Joe or 7-inch.
I don't want to go there.
No, because I had the big ones. And I lost them. I have a feeling that my next door neighbor might have taken them, but that's alleged.
Well, we'll be sure and try and figure that out. We don't want to let those things linger. So Thomas would come over and we'd have this band all set. Then we'd take a picture of it, and then we would dream about stuff and just. He went on to he's like one of the special effects supervisors for Game of Thrones. And that's where he went with it, the creative side. I went into music, he went into film, and here we are. But the whole thing was about just creating something, Yeah. And I don't know what it is about riding bicycle in the rain. My mom would say, "You're going to get all wet." I'd say, "Well, yeah, but then I'm going to get dry after that."
Well, you've also touched on something back in the 80s, and I'm going to sound like my grandfather. Back in the 80s, back in my day, we used to play outside on our bicycles. How did you figure out where everybody was? Did you have to look them up on the Googles? No. You found out where all their bikes were parked, and you go, oh, there's my friend's bike, my friend David's bike. Oh, there's Mike's bike sitting right next to him. That Mike and David must be here at the arcade playing
neighborhoods.
Yeah, playing some video games. Yeah. Or they're at the movie theater watching Bruce Lee movies. They're out in the woods. Oh, they must have
building a tree fort. I love to build tree forts.
Building tree forts, playing G.I. Joes. Yeah, and this generation's not going outside. You need to get outside, go play.
I try to teach my kids what the good ways are, but I'm not successful. They don't know what it was like, so they'll never know what it was like, and I guess that's okay. It has to be like it's just I can't get them to see it any other way.
Well, in one generation, how did we get so scared of our kids going outside and coming back home before the street lamps are on? That was it. My mom never knew where I was exactly. She knew I was with John. Oh, he's with John Canada. Oh, okay. That sounds good. Well, where? I don't know.
I often joke to myself, this is horrible, dark humor, but it's got to be tough to be a serial killer these days.
Okay.
Like
Go on.
Like, there's cameras everywhere. There's DNA. Like, what would you do if you're a serial killer these days? You're like, they're out of work. They are. They haven't got anywhere to go with this. And so there's some good things about it, but I think it's kind of gone the other way now with AI. I was talking to one of my artists, a team member today, and he had his Facebook hacked by an AI thing. So this thing comes across Facebook that has a friend of his, right? This message comes and it's a friend of his, but it's kind of a little bit blurry, like there's not great reception. And then this friend texts him and says, "Hey, I got to get my Facebook account back. I need 5 people to verify who I am. Please just verify it." And so he quickly just went, "Oh, okay, no problem," because you're seeing the guy there.
Nope.
But it's not. It's AI.
Yep.
So he texts in and he says, "Yeah," and then all of a sudden he loses control of his Facebook and it's gone for good. It's been gone for 3 weeks. He can't get it back. And some of his friends say, I got the same thing. But, these people are preying on your trust of friends, because they can actually create that AI of your friend, which is really scary.
Yeah, that Nigerian prince that wanted, my credit card number and my social security number just so he can get his $500,000 out of his account, and he would split it with me. It was hard to say no to that guy. But they're hoping that there is a person that's naive enough. I mean, thankfully, all he lost was his Facebook page and nothing else.
Think about the con artists of 30 years ago. They'd have to show up at your door. They were showing up at your door and selling vacuums or something like that. And there was never any vacuum that was going to come. Nope. And they go to an old lady's place and they get him to sign over. They had to have more balls back then to be a con artist or a serial killer. Today, it's probably easier. If you're a cyber guy, it's almost easier, isn't it?
Well, I wonder about AI. Let's go back to AI and how it's affecting creativity. I myself went to that Chat GPT and I typed in some things. I said, write me an essay on dodo birds, because I heard dodo birds back on January 31st. They're thinking about recreating the dodo bird. So I said, hey, Chat GPT, write me an essay on dodo birds. It did. It wrote me a very concise, wonderful essay on dodo birds that I can read if I want to. All I had to do was a little tweaking to the grammar here and there. Nothing crazy, little punctuation, and it was a perfectly good essay. Also, just recently heard a podcast with Laurie Anderson, Lou Reed's widow, and she is putting out a book of Lou Reed's that he didn't finish. And one of the questions in that was, or one of the things that came out of that is that Laurie Anderson is writing her songs, her next album, with AI, using AI. And the interviewer, which is Mark Maron, the WTF guy, he said, don't you think that's going to erase you? And her immediate comeback, no hesitation, she wants to be erased. She just wants the creative process to go on even after she's gone. So if it's the robots, if it's the AIs, and I'm going to say this to my AI overlord who's going to take over, I worship you and I succumb to you, my AI overlord. Okay, but no, I just want to make sure that I'm still viable, being their battery or what have you. But do you think that this AI is going to be the death of creativity? People can write their reports, their songs, their movie scripts. Just put in something.
I think this is a huge question, and what I would think we dropped out a little bit there.
Yeah, the AI overlord is he's watching us, but it's a huge question.
He's watching. It's a huge question that gets into many things that are happening right now. We have the 4th industrial revolution happening, which means there's a lot of changes coming that are huge to the overall planet and everything. It's coming, and it's already started. And my answer is this: there's going to be a lot of change, heartache, pain, But the human spirit, if you can get through the next little while, the human spirit will come back up. So I love to be informed. I consider a lot of conspiracy theories are correct. They're actually right. There's a lot of them that are right, and there's a lot that are wrong. We don't know which ones are, but it's important to keep an open mind in life. Know as much as you can, but always remember that tomorrow the sun will rise, and it'll be a new day, and we'll get through it. If the dollar crashes, whatever happens, all this, there's people that live in this state of sadness and anxiety because of what's going on, and they watch the news all the time. Well, the news is propaganda these days, and it's just leading you where they want you to go, where the money, exists. But the truth is if you can get to the point where you are knowledgeable, but now I believe in a higher power, and so at the end of the day, I'm going to be okay. I believe that, and I'm going to. So there's only so much anxiety you should feel, and then you should let it go. And you can't change certain things, so don't focus on what you can't change. Just focus on what you can do today.
See, I wondered about that. You've been in Christian rock bands, pretty much your whole life, your whole adult life. I wondered how much your faith plays a part in your life. Is it big? Do you go to church every week? Is it a study of the Bible? Is there a certain faith that you subscribe to that helps you through your day-to-day life?
That's a really good question. I was brought up really with, church twice on Sunday and then Bible study and all of that. At 25, I rebelled and started wearing black leather and playing rock and roll. And I went through that. And then there's actually a verse in the Bible that talks about if you raise your children right and they, mess up and go away and stuff, they'll come back to it. Because if you're talking about whether it's Christianity or any type of religion, if you're teaching truth, if what you're saying is right, your kids will get it someday. They'll understand. It's your job as a parent to pass along what you see as truth, integrity, all of those things. And but we all know kids go through stuff. So I went through a dark period, I would say, and I came back somewhere in the middle. So I don't go to church every Sunday, or I rarely go to church anymore. I don't necessarily believe church is where God is always. God is everywhere. And what I try to focus on is the point, which is love your neighbor as yourself. That's the whole point of everything. Throw the best of the Bible out and just focus on that. That's what it says right there. What is the most important thing? It's love your neighbor as yourself.
Yeah, the golden rule. That's the one. Whether you believe it or not, it's a good book of instructions. And you were talking about the parable of the prodigal son returning. I mean, even the Amish, who arguably could be one of the strictest purveyors of the Bible, they have a Rumspringer where the kids go off in their late teens, 18, 19 years old. They go off into the world and see if the world is right for them. And from what I understand, the largest percentage of them come back into the fold and say, right, it's no good for me out there. That place is crazy. I had a time out there and it was nuts. So they go back into the fold.
Yep. There's something to be said for security. Again, finding that balance in life where there's enough money, with freedom, with vision and whatnot. There's a lot of people stuck in jobs that are not for them, but you have to do that for a period of time. And there's a lot of people in music who subsidize, some of the happiest musicians I've seen are those that have a second thing where their security is in place, and then they can focus on being creative as well. So that's a balance that, and then there's lots of people I know that are full-time music and they're happy too. But finding that balance is the key in life. Success is not money, it's happiness. Yeah. If you're happy. I try to shoot for being as happy as I can. I don't get there all the time, but I keep that as my center. Is I want to be happy and I want to make people happy around me.
Yeah, and that's one thing that music can do. The thing about the entertainment business, the money can be good, but the work is not steady. It's a hustle. It's a constant grind. And
it's the same for actors.
Oh, my goodness, yes. There's so many people that are part of the Screen Actors Guild that can't pay their insurance with the jobs that they have.
Lately.
You know, it's 99% of those people cannot pay, that are part of that Screen Actors Guild, cannot pay enough into the insurance using their acting jobs. You know, it's that small percentage at the top that has enough.
You know, it's interesting. One of my best friends growing up, he was always into drama and, you know, the theater, the school theater and this and that. And at, what was he, 45 years old, he was working at the Safeway. I don't know if you guys got Safeway, but he was working at the Safeway warehouse, you know, food distribution. And he's like, clean up aisle 5. He's the guy who'd come and clean it up. And, you know, he'd make the coffee for the guy. And day after day, like Groundhog Day, you know, it's like, oh boy. So at 45 years old, he had like 13 weeks of paid vacation by this time. He had everything. Great union job. He quit. He took a buyout and he said, I'm going to be an actor. And I think a lot of people thought he was nuts, but, you know, he put himself in a position where he had to succeed. And so what happened? Well, now he does voiceovers and acting jobs for like Green Giant and this and that. You know, go in, do a voiceover for 2 hours, $4,000 for the day. You know, he just got taken down to Uruguay to do a commercial. The guy is making great money, and you know, you got to go through a lot of auditions to get the dates, but that's the life he chose. He said, I'm going to do this, and he went and did it. He had the balls to do that, and so there you go. I mean, if you're not going to get in the race, you're not going to win. Winning isn't everything. It's being in the race that matters.
Yeah, I think I saw a meme recently. It says a gentleman was at the side of his bed and he was praying to God, let me win the lotto next night. Let me win the lotto next night. Let me win the lotto next night. The God finally gets tired of it and looks down and says, buy a ticket. You got to get a ticket to the ride to get on the ride, you know? So your friend, you know, saw that he wasn't happy, and it took him 45 years. Probably he had a family to take care of, bills to pay. He had responsibilities that he had to deal with. So it's nice to have that day job that was paying for his insurance, helping, you know, making sure he had a steady check, but he wasn't happy. His heart wasn't in it. And now I'm sure he's all the happier for it. Come on.
He has told me, and he's 2 years older than me now, so he's 58. But he has told me that he's been in rush hour traffic, driving to an audition at 50 years old, and he's bawling. He's crying because he's seeing these people around him going to these jobs they hate, and he's so thankful that he's going to an audition. And you know, one of the things he did too is he likes to, you know. He does some interior painting as well for you know, this company and whatnot. When you're doing the inside of a house and stuff, and he says, you know, I still like getting out there and it's fun. I'm doing something creative. I'm not doing it all the time, but you know, he'll do a job, take him 3-4 days or whatever, and then he won't do another one for another month. But it puts a little bit extra pocket money in there, but also gets him out of the routine. So I like the fact of, you know, I think most people have a few different interests. If you can have a versatile approach, I think you're going to be happier.
Oh my goodness, yes. And I talk about the versatility, talk about that, you know, wanting to do something different all the time. There was a time where I was on this microphone, or on a different microphone, but 50 commercials a week I was doing. I was with an agency and they were paying me, you know, minimal. It wasn't great bread, but it was 50 commercials a week. So 50 times I had to say, you know, the same words with a different company. It was like donuts. I don't know. A commercial donut is like the beginning has some music, the end has some music, and in the middle of that empty space, that's where I had to put the words. And it was all the time. Yeah. And I was changing it. James Chevrolet, Freddie's Buick, Jimmy's, the grocery store, Safeway, whatever, and all over the country, and even parts, probably all over the world, I was making these commercials, but it was so tedious and time consuming, and it was the same thing over and over. Yeah, so I started to hate it, but I could see what your friend is saying, and I see what you're saying, where you wanted to have different experiences. And this is what you have with this big records endeavor that you've come out with, is you have different artists. I've talked to some of these people. They're not all country, rock, pop, disco, they sing whatever they want. They have different tastes, and they're putting different ideas into the pot. And what are you doing for them? You're helping them to get to another level. Tell people what Big Records is doing for the people, Mark Rosner.
Well, this has been a 10-year experience building it to this point. And like I say, when I started with good intentions, but I wasn't able to do everything perfect right from the start. It never is perfect, but it was a journey. So I developed a business model, and I thought, if I can charge a certain amount and over deliver, we're going to have a successful business. And so that amount has gone up and up and up and up and up over the years, because we're able to deliver better and better services all the time. But it's a service-based label. And so when we meet an artist, not everybody is right for what we do, but we're able to service every amount of type of artist you can imagine, every genre, every age. We have an 80-some-odd-year-old artist on our roster, and we have 15-year-old artists. We have all different types of genres, and so we have a team of people that works for the artist. For instance, it can be hard for an artist to do certain things. I'll just name a few of them. It's hard to hire a full-time publicist. It's hard to have a social media person that can be consistent. It's hard to find a person that will help you with sponsors. It's hard to find agents and get leverage into certain rooms and opportunities. It's hard to know all the different radio stations and places you can go for promoting, and then you have to get posters done. You have to have someone who does video and this, that. And as well, leverage comes from strength in numbers. So, example, if you said to me, I want to tour Papua New Guinea, I would say, great, we have the people there. We have an artist there that can help. I want to go to India. I want to go to Brazil. I want to tour, North Carolina. I want to, whatever you want to do, we've got the people in our team to help you do that. You still have to be the foot on the accelerator. You have to be in charge. You have to tell us, direct the ship and all of that. But finding a good, honest, transparent team of people is very difficult. And I would credit, the thing I've done well is to bring together good people. That's it. So important, because good people bring other good people. Yeah. And so just recently we're making gains every week. There's just new things happening because good people are connecting us with others, and then we're able to help this other artist, and then they talk to that person. And this is what you don't have when you're by yourself as an artist. And the worry always was, okay, so what am I going to have to give up? Like an artist would have to usually give up rights to their music and this and that. And with us, you don't do that, any of that. It's a service, so you own everything. So just this week, we put out a notice to all the artists, hey, we need Christmas songs for the Hallmark, big Hallmark network and stuff. They're looking for Christmas songs. Boom, we're able to do it. And is somebody trying to call me?
Probably.
I'll just turn that off. That I'll have to tell them I'm busy. So sorry about that. But actually, I'm amazed that my phone hasn't rung in this time here. Just give me 5 seconds. Ask me a question so I can tell them I'm on the phone.
Well, I mean, I've been listening to bleeps and bloops, so I know that we're winding this thing down. But I did want to learn about big records and what big records provides, because I know that we can only get ourselves to a certain level. You need a team. You need some people to help you to get to the next level. And you're talking about marketing. As good as we think we are on social media, one of the best forms of marketing is always going to be word of mouth. And if your word of mouth is going all over this great globe of ours, oh my goodness, there's strength in that networking. There's strength. If you do a good job for people one time, they're going to tell their friends. Of course, if you do a bad job, they're going to tell even more friends about that. But I figured out a long time ago, if I have haters, that means I'm doing something right, because nobody's doing better than me that hates on me. If they're hating on me, that means they want what I have. They want what you have.
We just had a brand new label from Europe try to steal and go after all of our artists. And I'm like, why? Why wouldn't you just want to work together? Like, I don't get it, But there's a small percentage of society that are mentally ill. I will say that, 2%, 5% that are mentally ill and are bent on destructive behavior and negatives and, beat you to the punch over here. I always thought working with people and not fighting over the pie, but let's bake a bigger pie together.
There's room for everybody. I mean, I know when I was in Miami, when I was younger, I didn't know about business. I didn't know how to get ahead. And I don't think that I stepped on anybody as I was going up, but I didn't help a lot of people along the way. But once I got to a certain age, I started to think, well, it'd be better if I got 2 DJ jobs on Saturday and I can't do them both. Let me split one off and give it to that guy, because I know he's going to do a good job for this customer. Yeah. And that customer is going to be happy with me and happy with him at the same time. Maybe he'll get the next job, or maybe I'll get the next job, but there's room for everybody in this big world. Oh my goodness, There's 8 billion people on this planet. I think that other company could have found their own stable of people. And I know stable is probably the wrong word, because you're not taking the masters like Taylor Swift had to re-record all her own masters because she did not own her own songs. You're not doing that. You're helping people to promote the songs that they're creating. Now, do you have a studio that you work with, or several studios around the world that you recommend?
We can help in that area. I always found early on, like, there's a lot of studios out there. Like, most people have their own equipment, or they go somewhere local, this and that. We have some that we recommend, like Begin Street Studios out here, run by Tim Steinruck. We love working with him. We have other studios that we can recommend. But I always felt like, in our position in the record company, that's something that we can recommend, but it's not hard to find. So we're not putting that in our contract. We're basically, if you want to record, we'll help you find the right people. But we like to focus on things that artists cannot do themselves.
Well, yeah, sometimes a company will get too big for their britches, but you're talking about people having their own equipment. Yes, with the equipment that I have, maybe about $1,000, $2,000 worth of equipment, a mixing board, a computer, a good microphone. I can make myself a demo. I could be a SoundCloud DJ, a SoundCloud musician, make myself a demo. But to get that good quality as a consumer, me being the consumer, it's hard to discern what was made in a good studio with good equipment, with a good engineer that's not going deaf like myself after 20 years of, or more than 20 years of wearing headphones. It's somebody who has that ability to take the creative wishes of the artist and put it in this little mixing board, because I know it's not reel to reel anymore. I'm of the analog age myself. Put it in their little computer, bloop, and all of a sudden out the other end, magic. There's a finished product. There's something that artist can be proud of, that the artist, the engineer, the band can be proud of.
And I'm dating myself here. One of my favorite bands was singers was Brad Delp from Boston.
Okay.
And I always thought, that their main album that everybody knows, More Than a Feeling and all that stuff, that was a label album. There was a point where, in my opinion, because Tom Scholz was a guitar player and he loves guitar, obviously, but he got too involved in the recording process and started to just bury everybody else. And I just think that artists need that other side, that other opinion, that other person to record them, to help them, because it just becomes too much of the same thing if it's all you. And so we, as part of the process of what makes a band great, like the Eagles, right? All the different flavors that they have, and they all do their own thing. Yeah, they have some good solo stuff for sure, which they hired each other to come and play on anyway, right? But we need to bounce our stuff off of other people. And the same thing in marketing. Got to have some other opinions, not just yourself.
Yeah, it's hard for an artist to realize that they have to break off. Some people are control freaks. Sometimes it's any one member of a band can be the one that wants to have all that creative whole control and finds it very hard to relinquish that control. But if they just step back and trust that someone with more experience, with more knowledge is there to help them. You're kind of, and I love that you mentioned Tim Steinrich. I loved our conversation. That man is a cool dude, and he's got some skills to pay the bills. It's nice that you have people like that, people like Cindy Nini that I've been in contact with, that are in this sphere of the Big Records family, the Big Records community, and you're helping other artists get that much further. Get their bills paid. Okay. Yes. A lot of artists will come on this podcast and say, "Oh, I don't do it for the money." But yes, you need to have that money because that's what makes the world go round. We're not in the barter system anymore. You can't trade a guitar lick for a loaf of bread. Well, maybe you can, but it's hard to do.
Well, I think it is personal. I had a artist who was wealthy. Country artist. He was wealthy from real estate. Mm-hmm. And I said, okay, let's work on some sponsors. And he said, why? I don't need any money. And I said, sponsors it's not about the money. It's about the connection and the visual for people to see that you have sponsors. It's about who they're connected to. Some sponsors are connected to radio and TV and this and that. And so it's just important to if you want to approach things professionally, you're not doing it for the money. I don't think any successful person really will say that. You have to do it with passion, and then the money will come if that's what you want. So that's the way I look at it.
Yeah, for sure. All right, my man. My goodness, we've only really scratched the surface. I don't like to take more than an hour from people's time, but my goodness, I know that there's so much more, Mark Rosner, that meets the eye. I mean, what bands are you excited about? That maybe if they're on your Big Records label or any other bands, what are you excited about in the next in the near future? 2 to 5 years from now, what do you want to see from Big Records?
That's a general question, so I'll answer it generally. There is so much going on. If I mention one thing, then I'm going to miss out someone or something. And so I have to say, we haven't begun, like you say, to scratch the surface, because this whole music business, it dipped out, but it's going like this now. The internet really took away the living from a lot of people in the music, and it sort of destroyed it, made everything free and all that. But now it's exciting because we're actually going to be using that same thing. We're catching up to the internet, and artists will begin to make more and more money again. And that's the exciting part.
Yeah, we had to pivot. The record companies aren't selling records anymore, so they had to pivot. Now they're selling equipment, and now they're helping people with their social media, which is what you're doing. You're helping to promote people, to get people on stage, which is where they can make some money. Put their faces and their voices in front of a few thousand people that are paying a good bit of money for some tickets, and maybe they can make some money in this thing we call show. It's a living, but some people have the calling. I have to sing. I can't do anything else. I have to dance. I have to do movies. Are you looking to delve off into other avenues, or is this big records thing big enough for you right now? Enough on your shoulders.
Big records. Yeah. Big records is launching other businesses too. So people come along and they have an idea. That's part of what I help with. We are helping all kinds of businesses do better. I'll give you one example. Okay, somebody came to me 3-4 years ago. He's kind of a rock and roller, and he got his start driving bus for share. And then it went from there. He said, "Yeah, I'd like to own my own bus company someday, or my own boss, and this and that." And anyway, jumping forward, we just bought a bus together last year, and now we're doing tours. Next week, it's Stephen Marley from Bob Marley's son is renting our bus for next week. And there's lots of stories around that. Rise Up TV is coming to networks all around the world, where we bring musicians on a tour, we film behind the scenes, and then it becomes an episode. We may be in Europe, we may be in South America, we may be in US. We're filming again coming up here in November, 7 to 11. We're hitting Nashville, we're hitting Atlanta, we're hitting Myrtle Beach, we're hitting Chattanooga, and we're working with some amazing artists on there, and filming it all. Gary Sinise Foundation is coming out to play in Myrtle Beach, that kind of thing. And so, we're connecting as many people as we can. We're helping them with businesses, and they're turning around and helping our artists, and blah, 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 just like that.
Oh, I like that. Gary Sinise with that Lieutenant Dan, art imitates life, or life imitates art. He went ahead and has this whole helping soldiers out that have been, that's his foundation, mm-hmm. right? Primarily helping soldiers. And my goodness, you got a bus, and you said Marley. I think Bob Marley must have had 20 kids. I don't know, because I was living in South Florida, and I know at the Guitar Center from time to time, one or two of the Marley kids would come in, and you could always tell who they were because they had a picture of their dad on a rope hanging around their necks there. A little picture of dad,
Well, he was prolific, obviously, right?
In all ways, in many, many, many ways. Yeah. But you got a bus. That's one more step in the right direction.
Watch for the Rise Up TV bus. You'll see it. It's coming more and more. I'd be driving from city to city and partying on there and telling great stories and all that.
I love it, man. I'm looking forward to. I guess you're going to have a television show out of there on YouTube and maybe other avenues if you can.
It's I think it's headed for Netflix, Crave, Hulu, all of those. That's where it's headed. It's still going to take us another year to get there, but that's where we're headed with it. And so, we've done, quite a few of the episodes. They're going to be coming out on our channel on Hived Music coming up shortly, and then we're going to be bringing them to the networks after that. And then just going to grow. We're planning, like I say, to go to Asia next year and just build it and grow. Involve sponsors and you name it.
Streaming is the way to go. Nobody watches television anymore. I mean, the networks. Sure. I guess there's still a place for network television. People still have antennas. I don't think it should be called Saturday Night Live. It should be Wednesday on Hulu. Or whatever, Friday on Peacock. Whenever I get a chance to watch that show, but nobody watches live TV anymore. But you've got the right idea. I've I've been looking at getting a Roku channel myself, trying to figure out how to get this this social thing even further. Make this go to the next level. I mean, it's getting a few thousand hits here and there, and that's pretty cool. I want more people to know about Mark Rosner and Big Records, and hopefully this gets you a couple more eyes, a couple more ears, and maybe another sponsor or two. You know, that's fantastic.
I appreciate it. Stay in contact, and I'd love to do it again. We'll update this, and any way we can help you go forward, we'll do that too.
Oh, this won't be the last time that we chat. I got a few of your artists on the roster coming up real soon. And Cindy Geaney, oh my goodness, that girl's been sending me hit after hit after hit, and your artists are top notch. The people that I've talked to already, top notch. That's wonderful, wonderful people, and I'm so happy to be involved in my small way with the Big Records family. Now, how do the people find out about Mark Rosner, the person, and Big Records, the company? Where would you like them to find you socially?
Well, I'll have to say my laptop says it's going to die soon, so if I drop out, you know what happened. But bigrecords.world. If you want to email me, it's mark@bigrecords.world.
All right. Give a few shout outs to people that have helped you along the way, and then we'll close this thing up.
Well, the whole team, at Big Records, and I'm not going to mention any names, but our team, we have about 16 right on the team, and then third party all over the world. So they're the people who've done this.
All right. I usually finish these things off with last words for the people. This could be words to live by, something you heard a long time ago, or maybe a mantra you wake up with every morning. Mark Rosner, or whatever pops into your head at this moment in time. Mark Rosner, Big Records, give the last words for the people.
Always eat a good breakfast.
Oh my goodness, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. Mark Rosner. What a cool dude. And he's got a good head on his shoulders. Man, I didn't even realize the man's a musician. So he's walked the walk. He's not just talking the talk. So my loyal listener, if you're a musician and you want to get involved, he knows. He speaks your language. He knows the music. He plays the bass. Bass, how low can you go? He's been in the rock bands. He's been where you are. He's been touring all over the world, or at least a good portion of it. And he's here to help you with his Big Records and his team of people. There's at least 16 people in the core of the Big Records. And then, of course, concentric circles with people all over the world. So he can hook you up. Big Records. Thank you, Mark Rosner, for being on the program. I know we only scratched the surface. I don't want to take too much of people's time while I'm doing these things, but I know we could have talked for another hour about things that are going on in the world and your ideas and your thoughts about what's happening. I know there's a part 2 coming. It's coming in the near future. It'll be here. Thanks again, Mark Rosner, Big Records, for being on the What Makes You Famous podcast. That's it for this edition of What Makes You Famous. If you, yes, you, turning my attention to you, my loyal listener, if you'd like to tell your story, I encourage you to give me a call, 501-470-6386, or email keysdan@aol.com. That's it for me. It's KeysDAN, RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com. Peace. I'm out of here.